It is Saturday morning, 6:20 a.m. I just had Thanksgiving with the family. It is 18 degrees, I think I saw. Yeah, we've got 18 degrees this morning. It's time to head south. So that's what I'm doing. I'm breaking this trip up into two parts, but my final destination is the Florida Keys. And I'm currently waiting for it to get a little lighter outside, but it's getting pretty close to starting the engine, warming it up, get a little defrost going on the windshield here, and make my way south. I will be stopping at a Walmart in Virginia tonight. I've got quite a drive. I'm in Connecticut at the moment, and we'll be stopping because I want to get south of Richmond today, so that tomorrow, which will likely be a very heavy travel day because of the holiday, I will be south of Richmond on 95 and past all that stuff, and then I'll make my way to Hilton Island for the week, and the following weekend I will then get myself down to the Keys. So that's what I'm up to now. I've been here for a couple of months. The new air has treated me quite well as a home. I already did all my preparation work yesterday. Ran into one problem. The RVI Brake 3 is not recognizing the breakaway cable, so I can't initialize it, and I don't have supplementary braking in the Jeep at the moment. I tried to call them yesterday. As I suspected, they were not answering the phone. They were on holiday, like a lot of folks were on the Friday after Thanksgiving, so I will just have to deal with that, unfortunately. And yeah, I don't know that there's a heck of a lot to report other than she treated me well as a home. Destiny, her name, if you haven't been watching all my videos, but Destiny is the name of the coach. I have Destiny's Child as my Jeep hooked up. I did that yesterday. And that's pretty much that. So all I have to do, I've already got the bedroom slide in. I've already put the jacks up yesterday. I just got to make sure I still have air in the system before I pull in the other slide outs. If I don't, I'll need to start up and air up first, shut down, pull the slides in, and then turn things back on. Apparently that's not required in the 2019 new air, but in the 2018 you cannot run the slides with the engine running, so you have to shut down after you've aired up to cycle them. So that's what I'll be doing momentarily. It's getting about bright enough for me to start driving, and unfortunately with a big diesel engine I'll probably wake up the neighbors, but c'est la vie. It's Saturday at least. That's that. So I'll be checking in warmer weather soon enough. Well, I did not take any video last night because yesterday was a much longer day than I really wanted it to be. Drove from East Lyme, Connecticut down to Petersburg, Virginia. Should have been about 10 hours. Now, this was the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I figured most people would be traveling on Sunday and not Saturday, but I guess that was inaccurate. Between construction, rain, holiday travel, accidents, it took me 13 hours to make that trip. I did take a slightly different, less direct route since I don't want to go over Tappan Zee or George Washington in the RV. So I went over a little bit west to the Newburgh Bridge and caught up with 87 and 287 and all that. Came down the west side of New York, in New Jersey Turnpike, 95 and all that sort of stuff. And I'm staying on 95 because I'm headed over to Hilton Head Island. And 81 would have been much too far west for this particular trip. Normally I would have taken 81. Turns out that probably would have been a bad idea anyway. A big old snowstorm went through that area yesterday, so, which was the rain that I hit, but it was snow out in 81. So part of the reason I'm making this video is to talk about the fact that it took me 13 hours to drive, and you know, that's 13 hours straight driving the New Air, and it didn't really feel any more fatiguing than driving a car. Sure, I'm tired, but just about as tired as I would have been driving a car. Of course, I'm paying, you know, more attention and making more minor steering corrections and things like that. It's a little bit more active than driving a car for sure, but I certainly didn't feel any more exhausted than driving my car. So I wanted to make that comment. I'm now back on the road, obviously, here traveling down 95. I'm in North Carolina now, and I'm making my way over to Hilton Head Island, which is where I will stay for the week before I finally finish my trip down to the Florida Keys next weekend. Today's trip is only about 7 hours. My ETA is another 6 hours from now or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, because I will need a fuel stop. So it's been good. I haven't had any issues with sort of the engine driving part of the motorhome. I sat up in Connecticut for 2 months and you know, started it right up and got going, and I haven't had any issues. My tire pressure monitoring, the EEZ tire pressure monitoring system, is missing readouts on 2, sometimes 3 tires, so I gotta figure that out. And I seem to be having trouble getting the pressures to match up on the dualies for some reason. I set them exactly the same before I left, and now they're off by, on the same side of the axle, they're off by, let's say I got 112 on the inner driver and 107 on the outer driver side. So I don't know what that means. You know, if I have a problem, or if that's just the way it is or whatever, but I'll check them when they're cold to see if they're back in line or not, or maybe the tire pressure monitoring system is giving me bad numbers. So anyway, not sure what else I could possibly talk about without just kind of rambling here. It's been a good smooth ride. You know, I'm doing 68 in a 70 mile an hour zone here. I can certainly feel the ruts sometimes. My front tires are a little higher pressure than I wanted them to be. They're at about 112 right now. It might be higher than that, actually. So I'm feeling the ruts in the road more. They don't need to be that high. They could cold. They could be 95, maybe 100. You know, so I'm making corrections to the steering more than I would hope for. But I'm driving. You know, obviously I'm driving single-handed here, since I'm holding the phone for the camera in my other hand. And I often just drive kind of, you know, like this, and I rest my arm on the armrest here, and sometimes I'll do the same with both arms. You know, mirroring exactly what I'm doing with my left hand, doing that with my right hand. And I'll do a lot of my driving that way, and sometimes I'll just do this just to change up the position of my arms, and so they don't get too tired in a particular position. But it's pretty easy to drive. You know, I guess one advantage to driving a little bit under the speed limit here is that for the most part people are passing me and I'm not running into issues with coming up on people going slower than me, except it looks like I'm about to actually do that because of the truck in front of me. So the adaptive cruise control is about to kick in here and start slowing me down. In fact, it already is. I can feel it. So I'm going to be passing these guys. So now I'm stepping on the throttle here to go faster. Pass these guys. So it's certainly a comfortable ride. You know, this is my first RV of any sort, and so I can't really compare. But I can certainly tell you, and it may be because it's a shorter wheelbase, or you know, because it doesn't have tags. You know, it's a tag axle. I've read on the forums that having a third axle makes a big difference. Having a longer wheelbase makes a big difference in terms of stability. You can definitely feel wind. You will correct for wind. You'll, like I said, you'll correct for ruts in the road. You'll correct for trucks passing you or being, you know, or passing trucks, especially if the speed difference is significant enough. You'll definitely feel that. But it's manageable. So it probably does require a little bit more effort than a bigger coach, especially one that has a tag. For the most part, when people do that particular maneuver you just saw, if they're passing in front of me and they're going faster, I really haven't had issue with the adaptive cruise. I certainly have false positives with the adaptive cruise quite frequently, especially if there's a number of cars on the road and if I'm going around a curve of any sort. And so I find myself getting to the point where I can predict when that's happening, so I hover my foot over the throttle and I'm prepared for those sorts of mistakes that the system makes, and I'll override with my foot so I don't get unexpected slowdowns and things of that nature. It's always amusing to see what traffic does in front of you. So there's a little taste of another taste of driving. Hopefully a better video than I was able to capture before. We can actually see the dash and the road clearly. So I'll get this video posted up before I take my trip next week. So if there's any aspect of driving you want me to try and capture while I'm driving next weekend, I have 2 more days of driving next weekend to get down to the Keys, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to capture those. I will footnote this whole thing with when I arrive at Hilton Head Island Motor Coach Resort. Picked up a pretty sweet spot there. There were quite a few open spots there for the week. I was quite surprised. So I've got a nice lakeside spot, an excellent patio. Should make for a nice week stay and give me a little bit of rest from this long trip. So I'm ready for next weekend. I'll be working during the week. I didn't, I broke up the trip this way. I really needed 4 days to make this whole trip, and I didn't want to take time off work, so I just did 2 sets of weekends to make the trip, and I'll work in between. So it's working out pretty well. We'll see you in Hilton Head Island. Welcome to Hilton Head Island Motor Coach Resort. Yes. I've actually been here for, I don't even know what today is. Tuesday? I've been here for a couple of days. Boy, was I tired yesterday. I think all that driving caught up with me. And there's the RVI Brake 3. The old one, I called them today, and they're shipping me a new one, and we'll take the old one. And that was the easiest warranty transaction I've ever been through. That was beyond ridiculously easy, so I'm very pleased with that. So that'll fix that issue that I had with that, and that'll be here in time for me to drive down to the Keys. Apparently I decided to take this video at a really bad time of day from a lighting perspective. The sun is really reflecting off the lake there, but obviously I've got a lakefront spot here with a fantastic patio. It's about 50 something degrees out today. It was 70 yesterday. It's going to be in the 50s this week. Certainly a heck of a lot better than the 9 degrees I was dealing with up in Connecticut. That was pretty ridiculous. So this is a really, really gorgeous spot. I am very excited about being here. I'm more excited, of course, about being in the Keys for 4 months, but it's my spot. A lot of these spots are, perhaps all of them are owner-owned. This is a condo-style resort, so you're essentially renting from people who've purchased these spots. Pretty sure I wanted to talk about a few things. Now I'm forgetting. This has become my makeshift recycling bin. I definitely want to figure this out. The trash bin is also terribly small. Little things I want to do. I didn't bother putting up my antenna. I might actually, it's sitting over here. I was checking the connectors on it because I was worried that the connection points here were not wrapped up with anything weatherproof, and I was worried that that was causing corrosion or problems. Looks like they're okay. I may put that antenna up. On Verizon here, there are 3 bands available. If you haven't watched this before, but I've got the MoFi 4500 up there, so I'm using the built-in antennas right now, and I'm, my downloads are anywhere from 15 to 45 megabits in general. Uploads are 15 to 20. When I locked myself to band 2, when I first arrived, I was getting over 100, and I haven't seen those since then. But because there are multiple bands here, and because I've got advanced LTE on that unit, it's the first time I'm actually seeing carrier aggregation. So if I'm downloading anything or uploading anything significant, it activates carrier aggregation and aggregates my default band of 4. So I removed the band lock, since that doesn't seem to be getting me anything right now, at least. I removed the band lock, so it automatically locks itself onto 4 and will aggregate with 13 whenever there's heavy enough activity. So I've actually seen that show up on the system when that's happening. So yay for advanced LTE and giving you additional bandwidth that way. I've replaced all of these lights. I think I have a picture. I'm gonna insert a picture in the video here. 39 of those were replaced. I spaced that out over several days. That was a fair amount of work. I updated the Silverleaf system. This is something, unless you've got the Omniscope hardware and software, you can't do this yourself, and you're not likely to get that sort of stuff from Silverleaf unless you prove you're technical enough to handle that sort of activity. They don't want you messing up anything, so you'd have to normally go for the service center. But I updated the Silverleaf software and all of the scripts associated with it. There were numerous bug fixes, including, and I didn't realize this, I haven't tested this yet, but apparently there's some sort of automatic phase detection problem when you're running the generator on the new Air, where it does the wrong thing with respect to load shedding, because it doesn't understand that there's 2 single phases coming out of the 8 kilowatt ONN on the new Air. And the other bug fix that I wanted to get to was when you start or stop the generator while you've got the engine running. So if you're driving and you start or stop the generator, you get several seconds worth of warning beeps, which was freaking me out, and I never understood what it was until I saw the bug fix release note for it. So there's a shore power cord warning that will pop up whenever you start and stop the generator. That's a bug that Silverleaf has fixed. I'm looking forward to testing that out at some point. I haven't done that yet, but I did apply that bug fix. So I was about 20 revisions behind on the main HMS here, so I had a pretty early coach, right? If you've been following, I picked this up in October of 2017, so she's over a year old now, which blows my mind. So I had some pretty old stuff, and let's see. You know, I actually just met, and if you're watching, hi. I've already forgotten your name. I'm gonna have to go back over and say hi again and grab your name. As I was, I had already pulled in for registration at this location. Another New Air pulled in. They just got theirs, and so I met them an hour or two ago. They are the only other New Airs. I've took my bike out. I went around the entire campground, and we are the only two New Airs here at the moment. And the fact that they pulled in and registered basically at the same time that I did was just small world, incredibly crazy. A couple other random comments, I guess, as I'm thinking about them. The heated floors are just, I mean, my next home is going to have them. I am absolutely in love with these things. And even though it's 50 degrees out, I still have them on. They're set to 3 out of 10 or so right now, just so that the tile doesn't get cold. So they're not providing like a source of heat for the coach. That sun is really bright. They're not really providing a source of heat for the coach, but they're keeping it more comfortable to walk on. Overnight, I crank them up to 10, and let me tell you, when you get out of bed or out of the shower or you're just walking around, I am in love with these things. And it's funny, the other owners that I met said, you know, boy, I wish they had extended the heated floors up to the very front to the driver's area. And I'm like, I know what you mean. Every time I go up there in the morning and I open up the shades in the morning, I'm doing this little dance because I'm like, the floor up here is cold. It's not heated like the rest of it. There's a couple of little cold spots. The other one actually is on top of the you know, this part right here. This sort of the engine cover, this little rise here in front of the closet. And so, you know, whenever I'm getting my clothes and standing on top of that, I'm doing the dance again because it's so cold. And not quite motorhome related per se, but I'm gonna comment it on here. No affiliation or anything like that. I'm not getting paid for this, but I did do this for myself and the Smile Direct Club, and they're actually in right now. They're basically Invisaligns, and it's about a 6 to 7 month program depending on the state of your teeth. And I'm mentioning this only because, you know, it's something it's part of my life, but also one of the reasons I chose them over, say, Invisalign or some other method, they ship you the entire kit all up front. So I didn't have to worry about, you know, where was I going to be when it was time for my next shipment and trying to schedule and order all of those things and deal with that sort of thing. So I get that one box and it has everything that I need. So I'm all set no matter where I am. Granted, I'm going to be in the Keys starting next week for 4 months. And that'll carry me through most of the rest of that system. I'm about 3 weeks in right now. So I've got another 6 months to go. And I think that's about it. If not, you'll hear more from me. You'll definitely hear more from me. Probably another set of videos once I reach the Florida Keys, and I'm enjoying the 80-degree weather. Maybe you won't hear from me. I'll be out enjoying the weather instead of taking videos. Anyway, again, feel free to make comments, ask questions. I will do my best to answer them, either written answers, or I'm certainly happy to take requests for videos. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you around.